You know what? No, what? Just go to the intro. Hey guys, Luke here, and we're going to be talking about the anime adaptation of We Never Learn, We Never Study, whatever you want to call it. But I've never seen something so bizarre. It's like what they adapt really, really well. I'm really happy with the way they adapt it, but what they leave out, again, another of my favourite series, having stuff left out of the manga. I know it's an adaptation, you have to leave things out, but leaving out entire chapters, yeah, I'm not even kidding, leaving out entire chapters or changing stuff around so that the punchline doesn't make any sense. Yeah, that's just so bizarre on my part. Like, it's like, what? Now, as with the Promised Neverland, I have my notebook right here. I got a brand new one so that I could, like, take notes on the series, so that it wasn't getting overcrowded with notes from the Promised Neverland to We Never Learn. And I'll be doing the same with Dr. Stone. I hope Dr. Stone has at least a decent adaptation. I mean, it's slowly building up. First we go through the Promised Neverland, which was okay. Then we go to We Never Learn, like, okay, you're getting really better, you're getting a little bit better. Then we're going to Dr. Stone, which I hope is the best, like, saving the best till last in terms of the adaptations. But anyway, we'll start off, I guess we'll start off with the actual beginning, like, how the series actually opens. Okay, so it opens with Kiryu-sensei in the principal's office discussing Ogata and Furashi about how they're just not studying as well, or just are unable to be tutored by her, and so he has to get in Narayuki. Now, the problem there is that it, like, takes away from, like, the actual surprise about how bad they're actually being tutored. I mean, I know this scene was in the manga, but it wasn't until much later. Now, the manga starts off with a little bit differently. It starts off with It starts off in the school, and you have Narayuki just sitting there, and he does the same narration as he does after the opening credits, where he says some geniuses, some are born as geniuses. He does say that, but in the actual opening segments, he goes, "My name is Narayuki Yuga. I am in my last year of high school, and I'm a brain." And you see little symbols around him going tack 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 tack, and I guess that obviously implies that he's actually being really ticked off about something. And he goes on, and the teacher goes on to say, "Next problem, if you can solve this, come up front and write the answer." And it's like showing how cocky and arrogant he can be at times, where he's like, "I'm so prepared, I'm going to be the first one today. The teacher's going to be impressed by how smart I am." Before Ogata actually just gets up before him and just goes up to the board, and it's like, "Oh, Ogata, what about your calculations?" And she's like, "Calculations? Sorry, I did it in my head." And he's like, "What is she? A calculator?" Scary, and you just see it like getting really pissed off about it. Now, in the series, I actually had that written down. The fact that it cuts out the first panels, and it cuts out the first bit of narration from Narayuki, and it cuts out I'm on the first problem. Yeah, that's another thing as well with it. It's like he's on the first problem. Here it is. It's like right here in this panel, right here. He goes, "What? I'm on the first problem. I'm on the first problem," and it's like showing just how not only smart Ogata is, but how much of a pain she is for Narayuki, who's average in science, and she just beats him every single time, and he's like, damn genius, and he's a bit envious and jealous of her as well. But in the anime, it's like it just shows Ogata at the board, just writing out the notice, and she's like, "Oh, if I know the answer, I don't need to go through all the working out anything. I just know the answer, so I'm just gonna do it. And it does get down Narayuki explaining what how Ogata is, and it's the same thing for Furuyashi at times, but as well it cuts out his reactions, and his voice is just too monochrome and two toned. Whereas what makes it so hilarious in the manga is the fact that he's just getting so pissed off and so over the top. It's like it's literally hurting him mentally. It's like no, I can do this. No, why did I have to be attacked by these super geniuses? And it just like spirals him out of control. I found a panel that perfectly encapsulates this, guys. Where is it? Yeah, right here. The if you can see it there, right there, that one, right there, where it's just like it's just like a void, an empty void, and he's just like spiraling out of it. She's beaten me in she's beaten me in every science class, and he's like, why? And again, in the anime, his voice is just too calm and too collective, whereas his personality at times he can get really emotional and very over the top with Narayuki, and that's what I love about his character, and the fact that he can stay calm and collective. I'm not saying he's not calm and collective, but at the same time he can just have his emotions just like take him over based on how he interacts with Ogata and Furuyashi. Now, another thing about the episode which I found really disappointing is how Furuyashi is introduced into the series. In the anime, it just cuts after we get the introduction of Ogata. It just cuts to the teacher that's reading her English essay, and he's like, "Furuyashi, this is such a fantastic, beautiful story." It's just a normal essay, and you get other people talking about her when it should really be Narayuki talking about her. And this is how it stood in the manga. In the manga, it's like it cuts to Narayuki in his English, in his modern language arts class, and he's like, if I can't beat you in science or math, I'll win in humanities. My essay today is a masterpiece. All the time I spent anticipating essay themes at home is going to pay off. This essay is going to totally win over the teacher's heart. On the other hand, and you see Furuyashi actually sleeping in the class, and he's like, this girl, she's conked out every single day. Did she even finish her essay? We only have 10 more minutes. And then the teacher actually wakes her up, and she's like, what do I do? And Narayuki's like, I knew it. And Furuyashi is like, oh no, I'll write something down. And he's like, poor girl, maybe you made your own bed, Furuyashi. Next time, maybe you won't sleep in class. And then the teacher's like, Furuyashi, you're the only one left. And she's like, here it is. And she's like, and Narayuki's like, she finished it in just 10 minutes? Probably just wrote another bunch of nonsense. I can't imagine. Anyway, I'll be getting the teacher's recommendation. And then that's when we get the actual reaction from the teacher. The fact that in only 10 minutes, she was able to just put Narayuki in his place and be like, no, I can do this in 10 minutes. You think you're so cocky, you think you're so arrogant, and you just see the look of just like sheer dread on his face, like, what the frig? And he's like, and the teacher's like, good gracious, this cuts right to the heart of the matter. What a moving composition. Why, the logistic progression is like a melody of the flute, so fine line, so littering. I would love to submit this to a writing competition, please, Furuyashi. And she's like, oh, please don't. And of course, Narayuki gets a B grade, and it says, very well prepared, but somehow lacks in originality. He's like, curse you. He's like, curse you geniuses. And you see, after the teacher said she wants to give a recommendation to a publisher or something, you see just like all the wind just blown out of his face. And That's how you do an introduction to a character that just like exceeds the main character's expectations in a certain subject. But the fact that they just cut to the actual just teacher crying, the punchline is there. It's just the setup isn't there, and that's one of the main problems with the actual anime adaptations. Like, the punchlines are there. It's just the context of how they're actually built up is not there, which just makes it that frustrating for me. Now, it's not as frustrating as The Promised Neverland, but it's still that tad little bit frustrating. That's why I'm not getting mad yet, but when we get to episode 2, we are gonna have to have some words. Now, one thing I don't like about the anime is that they're not treating it like with the source material with respect, because in the source material, the whole irony of the situation is that Nariyuki is not into romance. He doesn't want to be a romantic lead in a romantic comedy. He's just kind of being forced into that situation. And every time somebody says like here with one of his friends, I did have some other notes. Some other notes here. Like, there was a scene that was added with Nariyuki just in his room, and you just cut to a picture of his father. I mean, we do get that later in the episode, but we didn't need this at this point in time. We had enough material that we could have left that on the back burner, and then slowly, gradually moved into that, which is another thing that I really want to talk about here as well, when we get to it in a second. But no, anyway, the whole idea of Nariyuki is that he doesn't want to be a romantic lead. He's like not interested in romance, yet he keeps getting pulled into romantic situation, and it just drives his classmates insane. Particularly here when they're like, Nari-chan, you're so good at looking out for others, how come you don't have a girlfriend? I don't have time for it. Yes, I have no time for romance. No matter what, I need to get that recommendation because... And then we actually cut to a scene of his family, which we didn't get... I mean, we got it in the episode, but it wasn't until right to the end, and it was turned into a dumb romantic joke. I mean, the whole idea of the scene with the family in the first chapter is to show just how broke they are and how much they rely on each other. They come together as a unit. Ever since the dad has died. Explained right here by Nariyuki in this part right here. Our dad got sick and died 5 years ago. Now it's just the five of us. My family means more to me than anything. My dream is to make life easier for them someday. I've got to go to college so that I can get a good job, and to get there, I've got to get that recommendation no matter what. And then you just see like the frustration of the phrase, like no matter how hard he tries, he just cannot beat Ogata and Furuyashi in science and literature. And again, this is what I love about his character. It's that he is putting his family first and foremost, and making it like a strong family unit, because they all rely on each other now, because they don't have the financial support that they had five years ago. Again, it's like we don't get that in the anime. We just get at the end of the episode. I might as well just tell you guys. At the end of the episode, we have the scene that comes home, and but I don't know whether they changed his side because they felt like it was like a bit too risque. Where it's like, yeah, look, we forged lots of edible weeds from the two younger siblings. I don't know whether they changed that because they felt like it was like a bit too risque or that. But anyway, in the episode, we still get the content, that we still get the scene itself, like with him going back to the house and like just like, okay, I am home. But then we have the sister just like, you smell like women. You smell like women. You smell like women. And that and it's like, oh, she has a brother comment. It's like, no, I don't. It's like, they turned what should have been such a wholehearted scene, and why we get Nariyuki's motivation for doing what he's doing, for like why he's doing so much and why he doesn't have a girlfriend, into a dumb romance joke when it wasn't there in the first place. Can you see why I'm pissed off now, guys? Now, in terms of the scene in the principal's office, this would have worked so much better if it was actually preluded to. This would be one of the only times when I've actually been alright about this, where Naoyuki is in the office and he's just and he's just there with the principal. They're not saying anything at the prelude, and he's like, What am I in here for? Why am I in here for? I don't know whether they did that in order to introduce Kiryu Sensei earlier, because she doesn't. In the first 2 episodes, she doesn't really play a major part. So I feel like that was the only reason why they added that scene, in order to give her much more to do in the episodes itself, because she's not been introduced fully yet as one of the main characters. Now we get to the point where they've actually been introduced to each other. They understand what Naoyuki understands what he needs to do. He needs to tutor both of them, and it cuts to the scene in the park. And there's a little bit of foreshadowing in the first chapter that you just actually cut off. It's when Ogata is actually playing the game herself. It's like actually playing with the game herself, and that actually is foreshadowing for what her motivation is to getting into a liberal arts college or university or whatever. And I'm surprised they just couldn't have that little bit in there, but that's a minor nitpick on my part. It's not something majorly that is a big loss. But anyway, continuing on. Excuse me, guys. Continuing on. It cuts out Furuyashi taking the oath because you have it here where they have the gaze and everything, and he's like, oh, what why is she an abandoned lost puppy dog? And he's like, I have no intention of quitting. My recommendation is riding on it. And then you just see Furuyashi just like get on up, because she's like, really? Are you sure? I'll take that as a summon them oath. I apologise, guys, for that. But anyway, yeah, I really like that about her character, because that gives a lot more about her personality, about Fuyashi's personality, about how she can immediately just turn from being like one emotion to an emotion, just be peppy and upbeat, and I really like that about her character, and the fact that they cut out and it just cuts out a little bit of the comedic aspects of the series, about how she can be so scary when she's like, really, I'm gonna put that down, I'm gonna write that down in a note. Yes. It's like, whoa, you're scary, girl. And it's like in the manga, I was like laughing my ass off at that part. It's like, what? Where did this come from? But in the anime, it's just like, really? That's amazing! Now, in terms of the rest of chapter 1, it goes by pretty much verbatim in the actual manga, except for one teeny tiny little part, which is actually one good thing that We Never Learn is doing way better than The Promised Neverland did, is the inner thoughts of the characters. We actually get more inner thoughts of the characters in episodes 1 and 2 than we did in pretty much the whole of The Promised Neverland. That, to me, is amazing. And also, we get the most important flashback of the actual series about how Naoyuki was actually motivated. It was like, okay, great. And yes, it's actually been confirmed in the manga that Naoyuki-san was the teacher of Furyu Sensei from way back in her day when she was at the high school. But anyway, the fact that we're getting inner thoughts of the characters is like, bravo! We actually get some inner thoughts where you can actually understand the characters more and like actually know what they're thinking. Was that too much to ask, The Promised Neverland? But anyway, going back to what I was saying, yeah, so the first chapter goes by verbatim, word for word, except for the part here where we have this part here where we have after Naoyuki says we are gonna work together and I'm gonna actually help you guys, and we're actually gonna get through all of this together. And it cuts out another joke here, where it's like, there is something. Are you sure you won't get mad? Can we really ask you anything? And he's like, sure. Why would I get mad? What is it? What was your name again? And he's like, oh, I'm mad now. This entire week you took zero interest in who I was, and it's like. They were there for an entire week and they actually did not know what his name was. that to me is hilarious, and also as well, the fact that it actually gives a foreshadowing to actually the feelings developing between the two girls, where they're actually at home, they're having a wash, and they're like, I've never had a teacher like that before. Now Naoyuki Yuga, gotta remember that. And they're actually thinking back about him, about how amazing he is. But no, it just cuts to the scene in the actual library in chapter 2. And I kind of knew that they were probably going to get to this point, because in terms of difference between We Neverland and The Promised Neverland, is that there's a lot less in terms of context that you can actually have, so that you can actually adapt more chapters per episode. So that's not my beef with it. What my beef is this part right here, is the fact that they cut out the part where Naruyuki is not interested in romance, and you have this part right here at the beginning of chapter 2 where you have the friends saying, hey, come on, let's head home, Naruyuki, and he's like, I can't today. And he's like, and they're like, dude, you're always busy these days. Is there a girl or something? Huh? No way. And then it just immediately comes to Furuyashi and Ogata actually coming in, and it's like, excuse me, is Yuga there? And they're like, Risa Ogata also has Fumberland, the two top hotties at our school. Again, this is at the end of the episode that they're actually coming in, and the context of the scene is not actually there at all. They're like, they're here for you. What's going on? Nothing. It's not what you think. I can't say anymore. I don't believe you. You selfish jerk. You think you're the star of a rom-com or something. Dude, were you listening? And it's like the series is self-aware of itself. The fact that Naruyuki does not want to be a romantic lead, yet he's good at is being pushed into that role of a romantic lead. And throughout the rest of the episode, we get like all the jokes of him just being blustered by the fact that he's surrounded by two hotties, and they're like, due to weird circumstances, Sai Naruyuki became the tutor of our school's two legendary geniuses. Tests will get them into their chosen college. Both have chosen the opposite fields from their areas of expertise, and their grades in target fields are disastrous. But I can't explain any of that to my friends. I can't believe Omuro called me a rom-com character. He has no idea of my plight. Again, the fact that we don't get that in the anime just makes the jokes actually fall flat. Where did I put it? Did I put it in here? Yeah, the romance jokes, they don't work without the setup. The fact that we didn't get any setup to the actual jokes just makes them fall flat as a result, and doesn't make them as funny as they want to be, as they could be. The fact that Naruyuki does not want to be involved in romance. He has no time for romance, yet his situation is forcing him to be involved with romance, and the fact that we get all the jokes but no setup, it just makes them fall flat as a result. Now again, chapter 2 is adapted pretty well. I will say that it's adapted pretty well. Again, this is what I say about the series. When it adapts, it's really good and it's really faithful. But the fact that they've just left out those little tiny bits just makes it fall flat as a result, because we have had no setup to actually any of the jokes, and it's just being turned into a typical romance. Where in the manga, it actually isn't. It's actually more a case of like it's a comedy. That it's a comedy first and then romance second, as I feel it is. It's like it's a comedy that just happens to have romantic elements in it, whereas in the anime it's just becoming more of a typical romance harem affair. And there's a lot more to it than that. But anyway, in terms of the actual scene in the library, despite the lack of setup, it's actually adapted. Oh, it's actually adapted to down to the T. But again. One other thing that I felt could have actually been added in was the fact that after they actually finished their tutoring session, Naruyuki's like, oh wait, 6, oh no, I haven't even started my own work, and they're like, hey, your maths is wrong here, and number 7 is wrong in modern literature here, and again he's like and he's like, oh, where did I go wrong? Can you explain the reasoning? And they're like, beats me. don't you just indistinctly understand from the questions? And he's like, no, because I'm not a genius like you two. Again, this would have been nice to actually have him, because it shows that despite him being the tutor, he needs help as well. He's still a student first and foremost, and he needs help just as much as they need help, and how they ultimately all rely on each other. Now, another thing that was cut out, which I felt could have actually been a really, really touching moment, is this part right here. After Narayuki finds out what Furuashi's dream actually is, and what her goal actually is, and he's actually committed to actually helping her all the way. She's like, I'm going to hold you to that, sensei. And again, I felt like that in the manga was like a really poignant moment, where she's like, she's accepted him as his tutor, she's accepted him as her tutor, and she's gonna keep relying on him to help her achieve her goals as best as he can. And I really like that, and I really wish that they actually just kept that line in, because it would have been a really cute and a really poignant moment for the both of them. Now, in terms of my final point on the first episode of We Never Learn, I've already talked about the brother complex and how it's built up too much, where it shouldn't really need to be built up to the nth degree as much as it should be. But again, after the scene in the park with Ogata, and how we find out about what her dream is, we cut back to them in the actual classroom, where we have a repeat from the beginning of chapter 2, and it's like, is Yuga here? Oh, I'm here. Not again, Yuga! You swear there was something going on with these guys. And he's like, I swear, knock it off, Omari. You swear a solemn oath. What's with all the solemn oaths? Sheesh. And they're like, and they actually have the scene where it's like, can you not talk about last night because it was embarrassing? And they're like, Yuga, you're like, what was all that about? Shut up. And again, that falls flat, because we didn't have the setup to the irony of the fact that Narayuki does not want to be the romantic lead in a romantic comedy, in a comedy romance, or however you want to structure it. But he's being constantly thrown into that world. And they're like, "What are you doing? What are you doing? You told us there was something going on with that. What?" And again, I love that about the first chapters, how it's the irony of the situation that makes it that much more funny, and the fact that we don't get any of that, it just kind of leaves the episode falling flat as a result. But in terms of what they adapted really well. I have no beefs. They didn't add in any necessary pointless scenes, except for the first prelude scene. But again, that was probably to do with the fact that Kiryu Sensei doesn't get a lot of focus in the first few chapters, so it kind of like I think it was kind of like made to like bring her into the forefront early on as one of the main characters, on foreshadow of future appearances. But in terms of what they adapted, I have really not that many beefs with it. Just those tiny little things that just make it that much more frustrating. But episode 2. We have got to talk about episode 2 right now. Now again, in terms of episode 2, the anime has this like really bizarre thing where what they adapt really, really well, and I'm really happy with. But what they leave out is so frustrating. Like, in terms of episode 2, I don't have much notes to say on it in terms of episode 1. But again, they cut out chapter 3 and move straight to chapter 4, and that's really frustrating, because that's one of my favourite chapters in the entire series, and it's the chapter that focuses on the fact that Ogata and Furio come to Narayuki's house to actually study with him, and we get to like probably be introduced to the family, what their personalities are like, how they interact with the other girls, and again it just builds up with the idea of the fact that the family is like, oh, since when were you interested in romance? I'm not interested in romance, stop saying that. And they're just really funny. This family is really funny, it's really lively, it's really energetic, and again, I really wish this chapter was actually introduced, but again, that was probably because we wanted to get to Takamoto as soon as possible. But anyway, one of my favourite jokes here is like what I said in my introduction video, is like when they have the younger twins, it's like, hey big sis, which one of you is Big Brother's girlfriend? I bet it's this one. She's got huge shooters. Yeah, the boy actually says that. That's what is in the manga, and it's like, really, they're 5 years old, and they're like actually talking about this. It's like, oh, it's both funny and awkward at the same time. And he just gets like really frustrated in the actual chapter. It's like, go and read chapter 3. I highly recommend it. It's like one of the funniest chapters ever that I've ever seen. But anyway, when we actually get the mother and the younger older sister coming home, they're like, I'm worried about Naruyuki being a late bloomer, but he's really found a girlfriend. So through to meet you, I'm Naruyuki's mother. And he's like, I don't have a girlfriend! And you can see like just like the frustration on his, where is it? Yeah, there, right there. The frustration on his face about the fact that they're saying that it's his girlfriend when they're not. And you have like the sister going, and again, like, okay, the scene at the end of episode 1 where they're like talking about the brother complex, okay, is here. It's like right at the bottom of this page, right here. But again, the context is actually different because the girls are actually there and they're like, what? He has a girlfriend? No, I don't. What's going on? You said you weren't interested in romance. I'm not. Why are you mad at me anyway? And they're like, Musica has a brother complex. So I do not. And the reason why she's so mad at him is because not because she has necessarily a brother complex. It's because she's like, sorry to do this to you, Ogata, but for my brother's sake, you're going down. And she's like, if she can't handle this task, she's not worthy of my brother. So she's not getting mad at him for having a girlfriend because she has a brother complex. She's getting mad at it. She's getting mad at him because she wants to find a person who's actually going to look after her brother because of how much he actually does. She's trying to find someone that's worthy of being just as hard-working and determined as he is to be his girlfriend. So it's not a case of like having a brother complex. It's a case of like, if you want to be my brother's girlfriend, you have to work just as hard as he does, to the point of him passing out, to the point of you passing out as well. And again, it's like she gives her such a hard task, which is like right there, like all of that is the task, and she's like, done. And she's like, you did it. What? Yeah. Yes. What? You estimated? You didn't even ask me to repeat it. And she's like, everything's precise and measured, and I know God's like, what's wrong with your sister? I know, sis, I feel your pain. Cursed geniuses. And again, it's like, when with the story that Furuyashi tells the two little twins, and they're like, it was such a moving story. Why are humans being such inexperienced, beautiful creatures? This life is truly amazing. And again, they're like 5 years old and they're actually saying that. And I really wish this chapter was actually in the anime, because it's just like one of the most funniest chapters I've ever read in any manga. And she's like, and this older sister's like, Big Brother, who are these girls? And she's like, never mind. And he's like, never mind, little sis. Cursed geniuses. And again, this is like the point where we actually find out just how determined Naruyuki is at this point, to the point that he passes out right here, and this actually surprises Furuyashi and Elgata, and they're like, well, I'm not surprised, he hardly ever sleeps these days. And then Furuyashi notices the notebooks, and she's like, this is our fault, totally. That's just how Big Brother is with everyone. He puts other people first and pushes himself to the limits. He's too giving for his own good. And they're like, listen, it's true he's a jack of all trades, master of none, but Big Brother is unstoppable. There's something you should really know. He's not the most tiresome guy ever, but he really looks out for others. And they're like, it's true, we could count on him. And it's like, and then you have the siblings like, when are you going to get married? And it's like, nobody's getting married. And then obviously you have the scene where they're like, at the end, they're like being led away from the house by Naruyuki, and they're just thinking about, when are you going to get married? And then that's when they're actually just blustering as well. And they're like, of course we don't take them seriously. And it's like, forget it. And it's like, hey you, yeah, you go, what, are you crazy? What did I do now? And then we get a scene where Naruyuki's just looking at the grades, and it's like, well, that's 2 points better than their best score. My lessons are working. And he's like getting used to setting the bar, low and thinking positively. And then that's chapter 3, and again, I really like that chapter. I really love that. That's like one of the funniest chapters, but also it has one of the most heartfelt and meaningful moments of the series, like showing just how far Naoyuki will go for people and how determined he is to actually make sure that others have a better life before he actually has a better life. And I love that about his character, but again, the fact that we didn't get that and we just cut to chapter 4 just makes it that much more frustrating for me. Now we move on to episode 2 proper, and again, there's not a lot to say about episode 2, except for another little bit that we'll get into in a minute. But they cut out Takamoto's high-speed energy, and what I mean by that here is the fact that the opening parts of chapter 4 before the actual intro is actually really good here, but this part right here was actually cut out. This part right here with Yugo and Takamoto, when it's like, "Hooray, thank you so much, Naoyuki, you're a real power," and she's like, and it's like, "You should copy a word from it," and then she just like runs off. It's like, "No problem, just copy everything exactly, give it right back, thanks, Naoyuki," and it's like, "Hey, were you listening? Whew, what a handful." As if I didn't have enough on my hand with these two. Hope I can at least get 4 hours of sleep tonight. And then it just like cuts to the wind being blown out that he actually has to chew Takamoto as well. But again, I really wish that they had kept that in there, because like, again, it just builds up just how much high-speed energy, way more than Furuyashi has, that Takamoto has, and now she brings something new to the table. Now again, when they're actually in the pool with Takamoto, she says, "Hey Naoyuki, what did you come to spy on me? No, so you can knock off the sexy pose." And wait a minute. Oh no, actually no. Sorry, I misinterpreted it. I misinterpreted it ever. So yeah, I thought it was like Naoyuki's side about posing makes no sense. But no. I actually misinterpreted. I actually misread it because based on the actual translation. So I misread it. So okay, there's nothing. So that's my bad on my part. See, I can even make mistakes, guys. So I apologise for that. So forget everything that I was about to go and say. Okay, so from what I've said, guys, chapter 4 was actually adapted pretty well. It was actually adapted pretty much verbatim, except for that one little bit at the beginning. So yeah, pretty good job on their part. So yeah, nothing to say there. They even added a little bit here, this little like comic panel strip in between like the sections of the series. So yeah, that was pretty good. But there we get to it once again. They cut out chapter 5. What is it with my favourite series that ain't chapter 5? My favourite series seem to hate chapter 5, like Promised Neverland didn't adapt it all the way. And now, we never learned that adapting. Maybe we'll get it later on, I don't know. But anyway, this chapter is a great chapter for Furuyashi's character. And I don't know whether they did that because it seemed too similar to an episode of the quintessential quintuplets, where the main character in that is like, I am their partner, and standing up to someone who's like trying to take them away from what's actually important. But anyway, yeah, this part right here where Ogata squeezes when Takamoto squeezes Ogata's boobs, that's in like later on in the episode when we're in chapter 6. But again, it doesn't make any sense in that chapter because of the fact that there was no self. She just went straight for them, and they didn't even talk about it at that point. It was just like, "Oh, I'm going to squeeze your breasts. Why? I'm just going to squeeze them." Okay, but anyway, getting to the chapter. So it's a chapter that focuses on Furuyashi trying to be confessed to, and the guy just not taking a hint, and they're like, "What are you doing? What's wrong with you, Fumino? Your Yamamoto's a total stunt. You're passing up a real catch," and she's like, but I really don't want to because and she's like, she can't bring it out herself today that she actually is starting to have a crush on Naoyuki. And throughout the chapter she's just spacing out and she's just getting bashful, and it's and she's like and she's like, I need to know, I need to be more assertive. I can't help it. I get all timid. Right now, I need to know, I need to be focusing on my studies. But whenever he approaches me, I can't seem to just turn it down. And then we get Narayuki actually understanding this and actually going to confront this Yamamoto guy, and them actually getting into a fight about it, and him actually explaining to Yamamoto, it's like, I'm Furuyashi's tutor. Protecting her ability to focus on her studies is my responsibility, and it matters to me. And then that Furuyashi actually hears this and she's actually getting really frustrated about it, and this gets Yamamoto actually really pissed off, and he's like, what kind of nonsense is that, you creep? And then they actually see blood, and it's like, say you all, are you scared? You should really go and see the nurse, dude. I won't let you go until you promise. And he's like, fine, I'll give up on her. I wasn't that into her in the first place. She's not worth it. And again, it just shows like, wow, what an arse this guy actually was. Maybe that's the reason why they didn't include it, because it just seemed like pointless filler. But no, it actually does give. It's actually a strong character development chapter for Furuyashi, and how she needs to actually come out of her shell more and be a lot more assertive about being around others, and how she really now needs to start focusing on the fact that she actually has a crush on Narayuki. But I'm just mad about the fact that we actually cut out, because again, at this point, we could have just had that be the actual end of the episode, and I would have been fine. I would have actually had much to complain about in episode 2. But again, because they're actually cutting out certain chapters, it's like, are they just speeding along? It's like, okay, we've got to get to all the girls. We've got to get to all the girls, and Asimu Senpai doesn't appear until chapter 33, which again, it means like, oh my god, they're going to skip over a lot of stuff. They are actually going to skip over a lot of stuff. I can feel it right now. If they skip over 2 chapters here, they're going to skip over more. And maybe in the future I might talk about them. I might talk about those individual chapters as they come along. But hey, we'll see. We'll see, guys. Maybe that's what I'll do. Maybe that's what I'll do. I'll go back and whatever chapters they've actually left out of the actual series that I'm actually talking about the differences. I might actually go back and review them. Yeah, I might actually go back and review them in the intermediate times between this season and next year, when we get like Promise Neverland season 2 and hopefully Dr. Stone season 2. Maybe We Never Learn season 2, but I highly doubt it. Now we move on to the second part of the episode, which is chapter 6, where it's basically Takamoto and Ogata at Narayuki's house. And again, the line makes no sense. It's like Narayuki in the episode says, I came here, where it's his house that they're actually at. Yeah, it's his house. So saying I came here actually doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Whereas in the manga, it's like, oh, so Ogata, you came barging in here late in the day, and you're asking me to teach the basics of essay writing. So yeah, that line doesn't make any sense if it's the fact that, wait, aren't they in his house? So why is he saying that? That's just something that really confused me, guys. Now, one thing it's clear out is Narayuki's explanation about how to actually write a basic essay. Now, I don't know whether they did that because it seemed my only guess is that the reason that they actually cut that out is because it seemed pointless. Because despite Narayuki explaining to Ogata, who doesn't get it. Us as an audience probably get it because it's basic structure of essay writing. So maybe that's the reason they cut it out, just to save on time, and the fact that we as an audience already know all of this information, so it doesn't need being repeated to us. But again, it's important for Ogata's character because she's so totally clueless about writing literature that she needs these basics to be put down in front of her word for word. But anyway, I digress. That's probably the reason why they cut it out. And again, it's not a big loss, as it probably would be if like say they cut out some of the explanations for Dr. Stone, which I hope they don't do. And again, in the episode, Takamoto squeezes Ogata's boobs for no reason, because now I know it was in episode 5, in chapter 5, but again, it just doesn't make any sense in this context for Ogata, for Takamoto to actually just come in and squeeze her boobs. Or I don't know why they did that. I don't know why they felt the need to add that in. Now again, in terms of the actual rest of the episode, it goes verbatim. Like, literally, Chapter 4 and Chapter 6 are pretty much the two chapters that were adapted verbatim, pretty much from the manga, except for a few tiny little things, like, okay, for example, something else I actually missed out, if we go to it, here, sorry, I'll have to go back, guys, is Ogata's inability to get sarcasm. It's like, now he's going, wow, it's impressive that you don't need the reason, and she's like, thank you. It's like, I'm being sarcastic, and again, I love that about the fact that she's so clueless about reading people's emotions, and reading how people actually think that she doesn't get sarcasm. And again, that's another like little bit that they just sprinkle in to add more to the character, and how much level she has to go up in order to be this like literary genius, in the same way that Furuyashi has to go into being the science genius. But yeah, in terms of the rest of the episode, it went by pretty much how verbatim in the manga. I don't really have any other notes except for the fact that if they hadn't have cut out 2 chapters, we would have had a good place to end the actual episode off in that regard. But again, like I said, that's something I can only wish for. In an alternate world, that's something I can only wish for. Now, in terms of the rest of chapter 6, Kiryu takes the place of the random teacher. That's because you have 2 teachers that are looking over Ogata's essay, and you have the one teacher who's actually looking at the essay, and Kiryu actually comes in. Now, she takes the place of a random teacher, and I feel like that was the only change that I actually agree on, because that teacher she hasn't appeared in the manga after this point. So the fact that changing around with Kiryu, I actually think was a smart move to actually not only get Kiryu give a lot more of her to do, and also to foreshadow her future appearances, but also to actually prove to her just how much smarter Ogata and Furuyashi have actually been becoming, based on the fact that Naoyuki has not given up on them and has actually been treating them pretty well. Now, in terms of chapter 7, I don't know why they wanted to just get through the first volume in just like two episodes, but this is actually gonna be a little bit more difficult from now on if I can't get the volumes out. I might have my laptop down here so we can actually like look at the screen where the chapters actually are. But again, it's just something that is just that we're just gonna have to get to when we get to it. Now, in terms of chapter 7, that was actually done pretty well as well. And again, I love that. There was like, in terms of chapter 7 being adapted, I was watching the episode and trying to take notes, but I couldn't because there was nothing that was inherently wrong about it. So yeah, chapter 7 was like a quick one that they quickly adapted. And again, I love that. No, actually, it wasn't really that quick. They took the same amount of time as the other chapters. So again, with We Never Learn, what they adapted, they've adapted really, really well, and they've pretty much left in everything that needs to actually be left in, and it's really amazing that they're actually doing that. It's again just cutting out chapters just to move the plot along as quickly as possible to get to the other girls. That's what drives it frustrating, because there's a lot of good and funny material in those other chapters that they've actually been cutting out, and the ending of chapter 1 that they actually cut out, that just makes it like they could have actually had that as a lot of details, and actually got that down and actually made it really that much more amazing, and made it separate from the stereotypical romantic harem that it's, unfortunately, in my eyes, that it's becoming. But anyway, guys, that's all I wanted to say on the first 2 episodes of We Never Learn. Again, like I said, they're a lot better than The Promised Neverland in terms of how they adapt it, and I enjoyed them a lot more than most of the episodes of The Promised Neverland, mainly because I wasn't like just wanting to gnaw through my TV, through my computer screen, just wanting to get to them. But what they leave out is just so frustrating because there's a lot of great material in there. That's a lot of funny but a lot of heartwarming moments at the same time, which is what this series means a lot to me. It's funny, it's romantic, and it's heartwarming all at the same time. Whereas in the anime, yes, it is funny at times, but it's not as heartwarming or funny as it is in the manga, and that's what I miss most about it. But maybe that's for the best. Maybe and hopefully people will actually pick up this series, because I really do genuinely love this series. It's one of my favourites for. It's my favourite romance or comedy, harem, whatever genre you want to put it on. It's my favourite for a reason. And we're moving into a new arc at the moment in the manga where it's focusing, because in the manga at the moment we're getting like little mini arcs focusing on each of the girls. So we've had Kiryu Sensei and we've had Furuyashi's arc. So now we're moving on to Asumara Senpai's arc, which I'm really looking forward to because she's my favourite character. She's an absolute troll. You can't really tell half the time what she's thinking, and I just love her to bits. I really do. If it wasn't for Yoruichi, she would be my waifu. Like, Yoruichi from Bleach is my waifu, but if it wasn't for her, if she didn't exist, then it would be her. And before anyone says, she's 19 years old, so nobody can complain about that now. Like, she's my waifu, I love her, and she's my second waifu after Yoruichi. Yoruichi is just like, it's just like a goddess. But anyway, guys, enough about talking about waifus. But yeah, okay adaptations. What they do really well, but what they leave out just makes it that much more frustrating. But anyway, guys, what do you think of what did you think of these two episodes? Let me know. Like, subscribe, comment, all that jazz. And I've got to go to work now, so this will be Lash and Luke signing off. Later, guys.